right, so good night. Good night.
night.
Good evening.
Evening.
I almost said we're going to close it out right now. So good evening. It's great to see you on this Wednesday night, and we are excited to kind of pick up where we left off on Sunday morning with the final in our series of the 4 ways that you can ruin your life. And we are joined by, without question, the most beautiful duo panel that we have ever had. We have Miss Vanessa and we have Miss Beth, who also just so happened to be Harley's wife and my wife.
Yes.
Harley, do you want to
Excellent.
try to butter up at all while we have this opportunity?
I concur.
All right, so there we go. So we're going to kind of jump into continuing this conversation with our fourth message, or the fourth teaching message in this series of the 4 ways that you can ruin your life. And of course, in week 1, Harley, we talked about driving your life by emotion and by feeling.
Yes.
And then in week 2, we talked about not learning from your mistakes and how that could be a way to ruin your life. And then week 3, we talked about,
Keep going.
guys,
You're doing great.
you know what?
Week 3, we talked like the here and now.
That's right. We
Yeah.
talked about the here and now, the present,
Yeah.
and then and talked about how the people that we hang out with and how
Yes.
peer pressure and how
Yes.
that can affect us. And then, of course, this week it was all about how if we live life without a plan, if we live life without a purpose, well, we're probably going to end up in a road ditch somewhere.
Yes.
And so we kind of want to pick up with that. So in kind of jumping into this bonus teaching tonight, Harley, I wanted to start out with that question that we talked about on Sunday morning, which is, in light of my future hopes and dreams, what is the wise thing for me to do? So I'm going to ask it kind of a different way, and I just kind of want you to jump in with it and
Okay.
kind of talk about what your thoughts are. So in light of my future hopes and dreams, where I'm at today, in light of my future hopes and dreams, where I am at today, to get to where I need to be, to get to where God wants me to be tomorrow, what is the wise thing for me to do now?
Yeah, we have to ask that question, and I kind of want to jump forward to that future point because Sunday we talked about how with God's help we can discover what this grand an idea, and maybe not all the details, but maybe no details, but this grand idea of our life story, the plot of our life. If our life is a movie, God has an idea of an epic movie for every single one of us. And so this idea, here's the overall, and then as you just said, in order to get to that movie, to that plot, we need a plan. So we have to develop that plan. And this question, by far, is the best question to
Really, it's almost like just living life on purpose, living life very intentional.
Yes.
You know, we talk about that a lot, don't we, Beth?
Yeah.
Just living life on purpose and with a plan and day by day, week by week, month by month, you know,
Yeah.
and just living intentionally.
And we're not saying that when we make a plan that, because, you know, our contrast was if we want to blow our life, live by impulse, by whim, take it as it comes, by
Living
lottery.
by lottery.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're not saying that we are never thrown a curveball.
Sure.
And that we have to
Adjust.
go back to
Right.
the drawing board and recenter ourselves with God's help and develop that next step, because sometimes the plans we make, even with God's help, life situations alter that. For instance, what we're dealing
What we're
with
all
right
dealing
now.
with right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's kind of where I was wanting to go next. I mean, just at this table right now, Vanessa, you're dealing with a life-altering plan because your career has been changed. You've been placed on furlough
Yeah.
as a result of this COVID-19, right?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
What day did that happen? Was it before spring break?
Yeah, our last day at work was actually the 19th.
Yeah.
But we didn't see patients on the 18th and the
Yeah.
19th. So ever since that day, you know, we've just been, and we just take it day by day because, you know, what we're allowed to do, what we're willing to do, it just changes every day.
right.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And if we have, and for so many people, those that maybe live life up to the point of this COVID-19 crisis, that lived life, dare I say, living by lottery, just kind of taking it
Yeah.
as it came and didn't really have anything.
Happens.
There's no margin.
There's panic.
Yeah, you fall
know?
off the page.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so living intentionally, living with a plan, living with a purpose, I mean, it can be career we're talking about. It can be with a relationship. I mean, for instance, if you're in a relationship that you really want to keep where I need to be, then you need to make, again, that question in light of my future hopes and dreams, where I want to go, if that relationship, and really that user that you talked about, or I can't remember, maybe I talked about on Sunday, and Beth, you probably, we are devout Walt Disney World people, right? Right?
Yes.
This is your opportunity. Jump in.
Absolutely.
We are huge Walt Disney World
Happiest
people
place
in
on
our
earth.
family. We've been several times. We love Walt Disney World. Everything. Beth's car is like got polka dots in the seats and the steering wheel cover polka dots. I mean, big time Walt Disney World people.
So you're telling me that y'all probably don't have to get a map out to know when it's
No.
vacation time.
No, we
you
know
know
where
how
we're
to
going.
get there.
We know how to get there.
You know where you're going to stop.
But not the first time.
Okay.
And even that being said, if you're trying to get to Orlando, Florida, you're trying to get there. If you just jump in the car and don't really have an idea, and just, again, it's not pointing at either one of us, so you're not.
Well, we're saying what direction are we going to go?
I thought you were like, spin the bottle,
Yeah.
going to come over here and make it inappropriate and
No.
uncomfortable for all of us.
I've never played that game.
Sure you haven't. But anyway, so if we're
boy.
just jump in the car and take off, and we're thinking, oh, the car's just going to get us to Orlando, Florida, and we're not going to have a plan. We're not going to be intentional about trying to get there. You're going to end up. Chances are, you could end up in Orlando, but the chances are really, 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 really good. You're not going to end up where you want to go. Your life is going to end up somewhere that you did not for it to be.
And Cole, it's going to take you a whole lot longer to get there.
Yeah.
So, and you're going to be, as we said Sunday, you're going to be carrying more than you have to carry,
Right.
further than you have to carry it.
Right. And we have so many examples of that. And those of you listening on the radio, watching us on YouTube, Facebook, I mean, right now you probably are conjuring up so many examples of that. Just like right now we're thinking of examples. And we could go forever on this topic. But on Sunday, we used the example of Esther. Goodness, what a great example of somebody who looked for God's plan in her life, which was relatively clear, I feel like, and then said, okay, how am I going to accomplish that plan?
Yeah.
How am I going to do it? And man, is the word conniving fair for Esther? She was pretty, she laid out a pretty
I would
detailed plan
maybe,
within God's parameters.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say that verse that talks about being wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. You know, she's conniving. That's another word.
I don't
for
know
it.
if I would call Esther harmless. Haman would not say Esther was harmless. But I understand your point. I do.
He planted his own pole.
True.
that
He
owns
did
that
put the 75-foot
spike.
pole in his own
Yeah.
yard. You're absolutely right. But tonight, again, we could go so many different directions on this conversation, and every direction would be worthwhile.
Yes.
It would be. But really, we felt like for tonight, because of kind of the atmosphere that we're living in and
Yeah.
the circle that we're all experiencing with the COVID-19, and with so many people experiencing loss of jobs and maybe even loss, you may have it may have hit you personally in many different ways, but for so many people it's hit us in our pocketbook. It's hit us
Right.
with our finances. I mean, just like with you,
Right.
it's hit you guys specifically in the finances. And so we wanted to kind of jump off tonight and kind of talk about how this idea of living life very intentional, see what is God's plan, and then plotting a plan, how does that look like in our finances?
Yeah.
And the reason we wanted us to be up here is because we've lived it,
Yeah.
and we've kind of come to the same conclusion
Yeah.
on something that works for us.
And I've gone through some great examples of how not to do it, and have finally in my life moved closer, have not arrived, but moved closer to this is a better way to do it.
And I think that's important. In no way, shape, form, or fashion are we saying that we've got this thing figured out.
No.
Far from it. We make mistakes every single day. There are times, Beth and I were talking about it not too long ago, look back and say, my goodness, why did we do that? We could have been so much better off if we would have made this choice instead of that choice. We're not saying that we've got this thing figured out.
No.
Far from it. But we do feel like we have found I hate to even use the word system, but a philosophy, maybe
I don't mind the word system. Yeah.
that works for us. And for those of you listening or watching, you may have heard of a gentleman by the name of Dave Ramsey. And Dave Ramsey, he's a financial guru,
Yeah.
he comes at finances really the way he describes it. he teaches finances from God's perspective and from Grandma's perspective.
Yeah.
And it works pretty good.
Well, here's the reason why I don't mind the word system, and I know we sometimes push back from that, but the beauty of a good system means that if it is developed wisely, then what works for him, I can implement that
It's
system
repeatable.
into
It's
my
repeatable.
life, and we
Yeah.
can replicate that
Right.
if we'll just follow this wise advice.
So, Beth, how long have we been kind of really closely following what is Dave Ramsey, kind of the Financial Peace University? How long have we been doing
I think
that?
we actually taught the very first course or
Right.
small group for Stockyard Harvest Church from our house in late 2012.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Wow.
Late 12, so about 8 years. Been right at 8 years. And we taught a small group way back then, and we jumped on board in 2012. So, and you guys have
I taught one at the
Grand Prairie Center.
Grand Prairie Center, yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
right.
So, goodness, I know for me, Colt, get us started on this system.
So the system, and again, what we're talking about it from the perspective of planning, preparation, having something in place, creating margins, so that when life hits you, you don't fall off the page. You know,
Yeah.
and crisis can be somewhat averted. And
Yes.
Dave Ramsey, this Financial Peace University, it's really broken down into 7 baby steps.
Yeah.
Very, very simple 7 baby steps. And that first baby step, which is really could have been very important for a lot of people going into this, baby step number 1 is having $1,000 of an emergency fund set aside for emergencies. And
Yeah.
so when the
Right.
job is gone
Yeah.
and something happens,
Yes.
because emergencies are going to happen,
Right.
man, that
Now-
$1,000 could really come in handy.
One thing that I had to learn, Cole, I had to learn what is and what is
Define an
not
emergency.
really. Yeah, we had to define an emergency
Yeah.
because as I have been talking to one of my children, I have just encouraged them and said, today, if you have, if your car breaks down, that's an emergency for you today. But honestly, it shouldn't be. Because we know our cars are going to break down. We just know it. It's mechanical. It's going to break down. We know that our tires are going to wear out. We know the dishwasher is going to break, and we know the washing machine is going to break. Those are knowns, and the emergency is for something we can't foresee. We know the dishwasher is eventually going to go out. We just don't know the date. An emergency is no one saw COVID-19 coming, really, and the impact that it's had. That's an emergency. Cole, what are some other emergencies off the top of your mind?
It can be anything from
a death.
A death. It can be a lot of things. But having that $1,000, that money sitting at, not just available, immediately available. Maybe it's in cash in a box under the bed.
Yeah.
And an investment person would say, oh, no, you can't do that. But literally having that cash money available, ready to go when it is needed. And having that little bit of margin between you and disaster.
Yeah.
And that's step 1. And then from there, as we go to step 2, and this is the big one, and this is really the step that gets a lot of people kind of stuck, and a lot of people never get out of this baby step, and that is paying off debt, using the debt snowball, just getting rid of debt. And this is something that, again, a lot of people never get past, and it was something I'll never forget. The night that when we taught Financial Peace University, I didn't even know it. We had a credit card, and we had what was it, Navy?
Yeah.
We had an Old Navy credit card. And what did you do that night?
Cut it in half.
Cut it in half. We cut it up. We've never had a credit card since. But paying off debt using something called the debt snowball. Which can you explain the debt snowball?
Because
you've done it.
I've
You have
done
experienced
it.
the debt snowball.
Yeah, Vanessa kind of helped me as well.
Y'all talk about that.
Yeah.
I had a load of debt that I didn't even know about, but regardless, it was there. It had to be paid. And so the thing I like about the snowball is you can see progress.
Momentum.
Momentum.
Success.
If you're paying the minimum payments on all of those debts,
You never feel like you get anywhere.
and you don't,
It's so
because-
discouraging.
Yeah.
Traction never
Yeah.
happens.
it never
Yeah.
happens because you never get past those minimum payments.
Well, just filling out that page at the very beginning and just seeing, there is a way to do this.
There's
I
a light
can-
at the end
I
of the
can
tunnel.
do this.
Yeah.
If I just do this, it's possible.
And it's not a train.
Just knowing that it kind of pulls everything together into one place so that you can say this is possible.
Right.
If I follow this, I can do this.
Right.
And that, for me, that just means it's hope.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
just huge.
And as you see that progress being made,
you mark that one off the
you
list.
mark, yeah, just, and
great.
you, yeah.
Throw a party.
Yeah, you just.
Rice and bean
Well,
party,
yeah,
but,
rice and bean
you know,
party.
A very
But-
cheap party.
But you know what? That is a big one because most of America is in debt, and most of that debt, and we're not even in this point, we're really not even talking about a mortgage. We're talking about consumer debt.
Yeah.
We're talking about those credit cards and.
Yeah, I think it's hard too because you get everything that you've got on that page, but you also have to remember you can't keep accumulating new debt, or
Yeah.
it's never going to work.
Right.
And I think that, in
Get
addition,
out
I think
of
that's
debt
really
and
hard for a lot of
stay
people.
out of debt.
Yeah,
I've done the
don't
debt
add to
snowball.
it.
I've done the debt snowball twice, and that should be my last time ever
Right.
because
Right.
you can get out, but you
Gotta
gotta
stay out.
got to have a system to help you stay out.
Right. Right.
And so
Accountability
anyway,
is
debt
good.
snowball is a
So
big one.
paying off debt, the baby step 3, baby step 3 is huge. A 3 to 6 month emergency fund. If you're listening right now and you lost your job as a result of COVID-19, how big in your life would it have been to not have any debt with the exception of your mortgage on your house and to have 3 to 6 months of your expenses in the bank, or Beth and I, we have a money market account that we have set up, having 3 to 6 months of emergency fund where you may not have a dime coming in, but you still can pay the light bill, pay the water bill, pay the gas bill, get
Right.
groceries, et cetera, et cetera. How much weight would be off your shoulders?
Yeah. Again,
It was huge for
again,
us.
I mean, unreal.
I haven't been that stressed. I mean, I've
Right,
been
you're
worried,
not as stressed. You're
but
concerned,
yeah,
but not
a
as
reasonable
concerned.
amount of concern.
and this is even before the federal government kicked in on
Yeah,
the on
Right.
the
the
unemployment.
thing.
Unemployment.
As we were looking at the unemployment that Vanessa would have been receiving, it's
Wasn't gonna
it's
do
just minuscule. Wouldn't
Right.
have done it. But while we were concerned, we were not, as you said, we were not panicking
Yeah.
because we knew we had, over the course of time, we had tucked back money earmarked for
emergencies.
an emergency like this,
COVID-19.
and not the emergency
Didn't know
fund. This
it-
was the
Yeah.
3 to 6
Right,
months.
didn't know it was COVID-19,
No.
just knew it as an emergency.
Right.
So baby step 3, 3 to 6 months. Then baby step 4. And again, these things are not being done concurrently. This is
Right.
important. This is step 1.
Yeah.
Once step 1 is done, then we
Move.
move to step 2. We don't go to step 2 or 3 until we're finished with 2, and so on and so forth. So we get finished with step 3. So we've done 1, 2, and 3. Now we go to step 4, which step 4 is investing 15% of what we earn into a Roth IRA or some type of a pre-tax retirement fund. So basically saving for retirement. Because guess what? We're all going to retire at some point in all likelihood. Everybody is going to get to a point, at least, again, that question, in light of my future hopes and dreams, what is the wise thing for me to do? Most people are going to want to retire and enjoy their grandkids. What's the wise thing to do? Beth, what's the wise thing to do?
Save it.
Save your money. And if we put, and again, we don't have time to talk about everything, but get online and go to an investment calculator and put the numbers in, and you will be shocked at how much money you can have. And if you're listening and you're a young person, please, please, please
Start now.
Start now. The amount of money that you can have when you turn 67 years old, which is when you'll be able to retire according to the government at this point, is amazing if you'll just simply make those small decisions right now. What's the wise choice? That's the wise choice.
My older
Yeah.
son's in the Army, and he, so he gets all, we're his home address, so we get all his mail. And when he first joined up and he's filling out all his paperwork, so I'm like, what is this? And it was, he had signed up to do retirement already, and I did a little happy dance. I was so excited
Yes,
for him.
absolutely. Well, I could-
That's huge.
one of the
He's 22 years old.
conversations I've had with several of the high school teachers and things is why, let's teach. This is stuff we have to be teaching. We have to be shoving this stuff because this doesn't just change lives today. This changes family trees and legacies.
Yeah.
So then step number 5, college, saving for our kids' college, because most people, they want their kids to go to college, or
Right.
some type of technical school, or something. And having a college saving, whether it be specifically a college saving fund or some other type of savings, but putting money, that's baby step 5. Once we've done that, baby step 6, paying off our home early, and then, and Vanessa, Beth, answer this question. If you in your life have paid off, you have no debt, including your home, you have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, you're putting 15% of your earnings into your retirement, and you're in the process of saving for your children's retirement, you have nothing the ability to impact family trees around your community.
Right.
And that's amazing,
Yeah.
what you can accomplish. And so those are the 7 baby steps, and the really kind of what we are trying to follow as a family. Again, we're not doing it perfectly, so far from it, but that's what we're trying to follow as a family. So Beth, real quickly, or not real quickly, because you're I don't need to say real quickly to you, kind of talk about what the journey has been like for you over the course of the last 8 years. I mean, talk about what it's been like as we've kind of marched through this process of living very intentionally with our finances and kind of following these baby steps along the way.
Well, at first it just scared me speechless, honestly, because if you've ever read anything of Dave Ramsey's, you have the spender and you have the saver. And Cole was definitely the spender
Whoa.
or
I'm
the
the
saver,
saver.
sorry.
I was
Sorry.
like, wow.
No.
This is-
Cole was
this is good.
definitely the saver and I was definitely the spender. So words like budget and just scared me beyond
Roth
belief.
IRA and
Yeah.
pre-tax savings.
I had
and,
no idea any of that was really. But as we've gone, we have, just gone along. You just keep doing it, keep plugging away at it, and it's not always been easy. It's still not always easy, and we've been doing it for 8 years. You're still going to mess up sometimes. You just got to realize faster that you mess up and just get right back on it.
And I bet your mess ups though now don't put you in a paycheck to paycheck position as they might
Well,
have 8 years ago.
the way I would describe it, Harley and Beth, now when we make mistakes, it seems like our shovel is a little bigger to dig out of the mistakes,
Yeah.
because we've done a better job in the past, and so the shovel seems to be getting bigger
Yeah.
to get out of the screw
Yes.
ups, because
Right.
we're still making the screw ups.
Yeah.
But really, I tried to boil down this Dave Ramsey thing in a couple of real small thoughts. You have the baby steps, but what is the way to handle our finances the way God and Grandma intended? And I really think it falls on a few simple things. And you guys jump in. First, you've got to live on a budget, which is really another way of just saying living with a plan, living with intentionality. What we're talking about, living with a plan. Budget has become a bad word. It means you're poor if you live on a budget. It really doesn't.
I like
If you
it.
don't have a budget,
If you
will
don't have a
always be
budget,
poor.
you're going to be poor. I mean,
Forever.
a
Right.
budget is simply telling your money where to go, not
Yeah.
wondering where it went.
Yeah.
When we in fact, we did our budget yesterday. Was it yesterday we worked on our budget? Day before? Friday? We worked on our budget on Friday, and literally we took our bring home income and we spent every dime of it for the month. And there's nothing left. Now, it was spent a lot of different ways.
Yeah, some of that you spent
We spent
into
on
savings.
into
and-
savings
yeah.
and into college and into
Yeah.
retirement and into giving at Stuttgart Harvest
Right.
Church, different areas like that. But all of the money that we are going to bring in for the month of May has an earmark. It has a home.
You already know where it's
I
going.
know where it's going. Now, there's going to be some stuff that happened that we're not
Right.
expecting. I mean, I know we've got to buy 2 new tires this month.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to have 2 new tires on my vehicle. That's been budgeted. Last month I knew we had to do some work on my lawnmower. We budgeted money for that.
Again,
And
I think it's important to note that's
planning,
not. It shouldn't
planning,
be an emergency.
planning what's coming up tomorrow
Yes.
and what is the wise decision
Yeah.
based on that knowledge.
Yeah. Cole, I know we have another place. We've got about 2.5 minutes, but
Okay.
I want you to very quickly tell us what are the 4 walls
Okay,
and,
so
and the importance of that.
the 4 walls being, food, obviously.
In other words, these are the things that we have to take care
Pay
of
it first. They come first. Food comes first. Where we have to live quickly with those all the things in mind we've just said. Answer these 4 questions: where are you at today? Where would you like to be in the future? How is your current situation, whether relational, career, financial, or any other scenario, affecting your ability to achieve that future?